Gary Crabtree was born on December 19th, 1958, in the Dow Hospital in Freeport, Texas, to parents Leslie and Una Mae Morrow Crabtree. Gary is one of 8 children: Becky, Steve, Scott, Kathy, Rodney, Susan, and Rick Crabtree. Gary attended Brazosport ISD schools from kindergarten through his graduation from Brazoswood High School. Growing up in a neighborhood full of children in a more innocent time when kids could stay out late during the summer, Gary ran the neighborhood with the boys that he is still good friends with today. When these men get together today, they quickly become little boys again and start remembering all the mischief they got into. It is a side-splitting time. Gary started his undergrad work at Brazosport College and later transferred to the University of Texas in Austin, where he received his bachelor's in mechanical engineering. Gary started his engineering career at Gulf States as an estimator, project engineer, then engineering manager. From there, he went to a science management corporation, McEver Engineering as a project manager, then with SI Group, formerly Schenectady International, where he began as an engineer, then worked in plant services and production, and now as the Director of Texas Operations. Gary said his hardest obstacle was helping the Texas Operations site become the first SI Group to earn the OSHA VPP Star Award. Gary married Kathy West on August 5, 1978. The Crabtrees have 2 children, Casey Ross Crabtree and Spencer Clark Crabtree. Gary has been involved in youth sports for over 10 years as a Lake Jackson Youth Baseball Association board member, umpire-in-chief, vice president, and president. Gary coached the boys' baseball and basketball teams and served as the board of the Lake Jackson Little League for many years. He still cringes when he goes by baseball fields that haven't been mowed. We made lifelong friends, and the boys learned valuable lessons as well. During those years, Gary developed a reputation for being a fair coach. He was stern and disciplined and required manners from the young men, but also tried to make it all fun. Gary currently serves as a chairman of the Brazosport Chamber of Commerce and is active on the Brazosport College Foundation. Gary is also active on Texas Chemical Council and Brazoria County Petrochemical Council boards, as well as serving on the BISD Bond Review Committee and Leadership BISD. He has also been involved with the Texas Amateur Athletic Federation, the City of Lake Jackson Youth Advisor Commission, and the City of Lake Jackson Traffic and Planning Commissions. Gary is also instrumental in helping local groups secure funding through the Wright Family Foundation. Gary enjoys fishing, hunting, and golf, and travels when time permits. Gary's advice for the younger generation is go to work every day wanting to work hard and contribute to the success of your company and fellow employees. Congratulations, Gary Crabtree, Hall of Fame laureate! John E. McClellan Jr. was born on June 21, 1953 in Houston, Texas to parents John and Henrietta Wright McLelland. John has one sister, Earlene Rager. John attended Alvin High School and went on to Alvin Community College. John began his work career as a pipe fitter. He then went back to school and took classes to meet his real estate requirements. Afterwards, he went back to Alvin Community College and took classes to meet his Texas insurance license requirements. John has been a licensed insurance agent for over 30 years. John married Brenda Weeks on April 22, 2000 in Alvin, Texas. The McLellands have 5 children: Dale, Wendy, Justin, Megan, and Austin. They are also blessed with 5 grandchildren: Ava, Anna, Cade, Kason, and Jude. John says that the hardest two obstacles in his career were learning how to deal with people and that behind every deal is a real person, and John notes his lack of education. John is a charter member of the Manville Lions Club. He is currently involved in helping the Lions Club build a $1.5 billion Little League complex. He is four-time president of the Lions Club and is the recipient of the Manville Lions Club Lion of the Year. John has been honored as a Citizen of the Year by the City of Manville. John has also spent several years teaching junior achievement programs at Manville Junior High. John coached baseball for Alvin Little League for 9 years. He has also served as the Planning and Zoning Commission for City of Manville. John has also served on the Citizen Advisory Committee for Alvin ISD and the First National Bank of Alvin. John and Brenda attend Heights Baptist Church in Alvin. John is also an active team coordinator for the biannual Men's Christians Retreats. John is an avid fisherman and hunter. He says that while doing construction work, I realized that I had a problem. I had a $35,000 a year hunting and fishing habit with only $30,000 a year income. Hence, going into business for myself was what I thought was to be the answer to all my problems. Because everybody knows you're wealthy if you own your own business. Yeah, right. With that said, John does claim that his greatest achievement was achieving the Farmers Toppers Club 5 times and winning Farmers Championships, which is only achieved by about 10% of farmers' agents. John's advice for the younger generation is, never take the first no as a final answer. Do not confuse a battle with war. I have lost many battles, but ended up winning the war. Congratulations, John E. McLelland, Hall of Fame laureate. Joe Ragland Sr. was born on June 1, 1917 in Beaumont, Texas. He was the son of Anita Aguilar Ragland Schmitz and Herman Ragland. His beloved stepfather, George Schmitz, always cared for him as if he were his own. Joe began working at Maury Foundry in Beaumont in 1933 at the age of 16 to help support his family during the Great Depression. After 10 years, he made a change of career path into the automobile industry. Joe married June Allen in Beaumont, Texas in 1940. The Raglands were blessed with 2 children, daughter June A. Ragland, man of El Paso, and son Joe A. Ragland Jr., and wife Linda of Angleton. The Raglands were also blessed with 5 grandchildren, 11 great-grandchildren, and 6 great-great-grandchildren. From 1947 until 1963, Joe worked in sales and management selling Ford, GM, and Chrysler vehicles. In 1963, he started a pre-owned auto dealership with a partner, acquiring sole ownership in 1964. Finally, in August 1967, at the age of 50, his longtime desire and dream to become a new car dealer came true. He purchased the Chrysler Plymouth dealership on Business 288 from Henry Lee, selling his business and family's home, only having their belongings, his wife June, and he moved to Angleton, Texas, to begin Ragland Motor Company. On August 1, 1967, he and his son, Joe Ragland Jr., began operation of the dealership with 6 employees and sold 25 cars a month. In 1973, he was able to expand his business by purchasing acres on South Highway 288B and building his new facility. In 1974, he acquired the Dodge franchises, then the Jeep franchises in 1996. In 1998, he purchased a Chrysler Plymouth dealership from Henry Lee in 2004. He retired from the dealership, at which time they held the Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge franchises. He received the first Pioneer Award from the Angleton Chamber of Commerce in 2009. In 1990, he instituted a college scholarship fund to be given each year to an outstanding Angleton High School student. Mr. Ragland was awarded the 5-Star Award by the Chrysler Corporation, recognizing the dealership for having made the commitment to provide excellence in customer service. Mr. Ragland has been a member of the Angleton Chamber of Commerce for over 46 years. In 1990, he instituted the Ragland Chrysler Center Scholarship Fund to be given each year to an outstanding Angleton High School student graduating. Scholarship has been named in memory of Joe A. Ragland Sr., Ragland Chrysler Center Scholarship. In 2009, he was awarded the Angleton Chamber of Commerce Pioneer Award, given to people who have a long history of business in Angleton. In 2004, at the age of 88, Joe Ragland Sr. retired, giving sole ownership to his son, Joe Ragland Jr. At this time, the dealership had 30 employees and sold over 600 vehicles a year. His son, Joe A. Ragland, continues to own and operate Ragland Chrysler Center along with his 2 grandchildren, Joe A. Ragland III and Shelley A. Ragland Bowman. Joe Ragland was a Southern gentleman, a self-taught entrepreneur with only a 9th grade education. He always credited his wife of 72 years for encouraging him to continue his education through reading. Joe became an avid reader who reveled in the car business and always believed in treating the customer right. Congratulations, Joe Ragland Sr., Hall of Fame laureate. Charles Drew Ryder was born in Buffalo, New York, to parents Andrew and Sandy Barbara Ryder. Sandy passed away in 1975 when Drew was 13. Andrew and stepmother Ethel helped raise him. Drew was one of 6 children: Amy Ryder Anderson, stepbrothers Tony and Kenneth Chamont, and stepsisters Brenda Carrier and Cynthia Moe. Drew moved to Louisiana on his 2nd birthday. Drew attended school in Louisiana, graduating from Oberlin High School in 1979. He went on a music scholarship to McNeese State University in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Drew started working on rice, soybean, and cattle farms from the age of 12 until going off to college. He worked 14 or more hours a day and only for $6 a day. His father owned Western Auto Store in Oberlin, so from an early age, Drew also worked there, assembling lawnmowers, tillers, bicycles, etc. He also worked as a store clerk, performed deliveries, and watched over the store while his dad was away. Drew began his restaurant career as a cook at McDonald's in Lake Charles in 1979. From there, he moved on to Pat O'Carroll's restaurant, where he started as a cook's helper and worked his way up to general manager by 1982. In 1983, he started work at the Cock of the Walk in Lake Charles, which was owned by Rick Clark. Drew started as a server, with a management position being a goal. He later became the general manager, and in 1985 opened the sports bar in the Cock of the Walk building. In 1988, Drew moved to Freeport, Texas to open On the River restaurant as a 10% partner with Rick Clark. In 1990, he took over David's Cafe in Freeport, again with Rick Clark as a business partner. In 1992, Drew opened the 2nd location of David's Cafe in Lake Jackson. In 1994, he opened a 2nd location of On the River in Wharton. Continuing on his entrepreneurial pursuits, in 1995, Drew owned and operated a fleet of roach coaches in and around Freeport at locations inside or near local plant operations. In 1996, he opened Back Alley Barbecue in Freeport, Texas. On March 6, 1999, Drew married Becca Utley in Freeport, Texas. Drew is the stepfather to Brianna Edwards Doucette, David Doucette, and Joshua Lee Edwards, and father to Christopher Andrew Ryder. The Ryders have one grandson, Douglas J. Harper Doucette. In 2000, Drew continued the restaurant business, opening Del Rio Mexican Restaurant in Freeport. In 2002, he moved the buildings that housed Del Rio to Lake Jackson in order to open River Point. River Point Restaurant opened in its current location in 2003. That's also the year Drew bought out his longtime business partner Rick Clark's shares in both On the River and River Point, and when he created the catering division for On the River Restaurant. Just this year, Drew began the plant operations at Gulfstream Project, serving hundreds of workers twice daily at the site where the new Dow cracker is being built. Drew gives off his time and resources to benefit many of our wonderful nonprofits, to families in need, and to many school districts and church-sponsored activities. He does so without expecting acknowledgement or thanks. In fact, many of his activities still remain anonymous. He has served on the following boards: Dow Community Awareness Program, Freeport Main Street, BISD Business Partners, Freeport Economic Development Director, the National and Texas Restaurant Association, and the Freeport Host Lions Club. Drew has also coached the Little League Baseball, Upwards Basketball, and Youth Soccer. On the River was named number 1 in Brazosport in several categories, including Best Seafood, Appetizer, and Dessert by the readers of the facts. It has also been named Top 40 Small Town Cafes in Texas by Texas Monthly Magazine and featured on HGTV's Building Character programs, which were absolutely mesmerized by the fried pickles, so much that they asked to film the process. Drew enjoys hunting and shooting sports clays, fishing, and doing things with his family. His words to the younger generation: always